Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Rachel. In today's video, I wanted to talk about the 3 books that I read in February. Now, 3 books is absolutely fantastic. Reading 3 books in 1 month is amazing, but for me personally, 3 books is not great. I'm used to reading between like 5 and 6 books a month, if not more sometimes, and I do know that a goal of mine for 2026 was to slow down and take my time, but not that slow, you know? So 3 books is a little bit rough for me, but I'm trying my best here, and I am in the worst reading slump that I've been in quite some time. So today we're going to talk about the 3 books that I read in February and a handful of books that I started, didn't finish, and yeah, we'll just get right into the video. So the first book that I finished in February is Rings of Fate by Melissa de la Cruz. This is a romantasy type book. I believe it's the first in a series. I thought it was okay. I gave it 3 stars. It was your typical romantasy. I listened to it on audio, and I have a feeling that if I had physically read the book, I might have enjoyed it just a little bit more. I don't know if I would have given it 4 or 5 stars, definitely not 5, but I think it might have been like a 3.5 to 3.75 stars if I had physically read it, but I didn't have the physical book. I had it through an ALC that I got from Libro FM, and so I listened to the audiobook, and like I said, I thought it was okay. It was cute. It was a little bit cheesy. The narrators, there was a male and female narrator for alternating POVs, and it just, like I said, was a little cringy at times. The female narrator was fantastic. I really enjoyed her POVs, but the male narrator was not my favorite. I don't like when male narrators, even female narrators, when they voice the opposite sex, and it is just the cringiest thing ever. I'm like, just slightly change the tone of your voice. You don't need to like try to have a completely different voice, especially when you're gonna do it like that. It just was not for me. So it kind of was a little bit cringy in that aspect. That's why I'm saying, like, if I had physically read it, I feel like maybe I would have given it a slightly higher rating, but because I didn't, that's the rating it's getting. But basically, this book is about this king, or I guess he's a prince at the beginning of the book, but he is on the hunt to basically save his village, his people, because he did something kind of dumb when he was young and kind of messed things up for his dad, who's the king, and he's going off to find a wife, and he meets our female main character, and they kind of, you know, they banter, they get along. Well, first they don't like each other, and then they get along, you know, the whole spiel. And yeah, it kind of just unfolds from there, and the things that they're doing to help him and to help her with her family. And yeah, it, like I said, is just your basic run-of-the-mill romantasy. It was good. It wasn't, you know, genre changing or anything like that, but it was enjoyable. The second book that I read was I Was Feeling Epic by Samantha Highfill. Now, this is an oral history of the Vampire Diaries, the TV show. I'm actually wearing, not the Vampire Diaries, but I'm wearing a Twilight shirt that I've had since I was in high school. Twilight, vampires are forever, and I feel like that sentiment holds true for this book in particular. Vampires are in fact forever. This book was super fun. I really enjoyed it. It's definitely a book for fans of the Vampire Diaries. Obviously, it's an oral history of the show, but it's really, really fun. The author, Samantha, she brought together interviews, emails, and things like that from all the different actors and show writers and VPs and all that kind of stuff from the CW, and put together this book, and I thought it was fantastic. It was definitely epic. It was a lot of fun to hear directly from the cast and to see how they felt about certain situations and different things that were happening. And if you've seen the Vampire Diaries, which I feel like a lot of people have, it's definitely a show that for its time was absolutely phenomenal, and I still think it holds true today. However, there are a lot of things that were written and a lot of things that were portrayed in that show that you could just not get away with now, and they talk about that, and I find that really interesting because again, there are things that you could never get away with now that they did, and it's interesting to hear their perspective in hindsight. And it was also really fascinating getting to hear from Nina Dobrev about why she left the show and everything that the writers did to try and get her back for the finale, and ultimately why she's only in one episode in the finale. And it's interesting to think about the fact that the finale could be different than what it is now if certain people had just agreed to do certain things. So I think that if you like the Vampire Diaries, or if you enjoy learning about the culture behind TV shows and how they're written and developed, I think that this is a fantastic read. Like I said, I gave it 4 stars. The last book that I read in February is about 100 pages, and that is The Unselected Journals of Emma M. Lyon by Beth Brower. Now, I absolutely loved this book. I gave it 4 stars. Like I said, it's just over 100 pages, but really it's less than 100 pages. It's told in journal entries, and some of the pages literally have like a paragraph on them. And so it's super fast paced. You can read it in one day. I didn't. I read it over the course of 3 sittings, but that's because I didn't have a lot of time every time I sat down to read it. But you definitely can read it over the course of 1 sitting. It is super fast paced. Emma is absolutely hilarious. She is one of my favorite female main characters that I have read in a long time. She has so much wit. She is absolutely hilarious. She's so smart, and she does not take, anything from anyone. Like, she is the person that she is, and it is genuine, and I absolutely love her. It is also really sad, and I can only imagine how the rest of the series is going to play out and how all of that is going to unfold, because there are a lot of things that she talks about that are just devastating, honestly. And I laughed, and I literally was like getting teary-eyed in less than 100 pages of this book. Like, it was crazy. I absolutely loved it. I think there are 8 books right now that are out, but I've heard that the series is supposed to be like over 20 books long. So it is definitely going to be a lengthy series, but it seems kind of fun. It seems like, every book is about a month to 3 months of her life or something like that, I want to say. And it starts when she's 18, and I want to say it maybe goes until she turns like 21 or something. And yeah, it's just, I'm so glad I read the book, because if I hadn't, I think that I would have totally thought that February was a complete bust. And honestly, a part of me does feel that way a little bit, but reading that book definitely kind of saved February for me. So with that being said, those were the 3 books I actually finished in February. Like I said, I think I was feeling epic in January, so I really, I finished it in February, but honestly, I really only read 2 books in February. One of them was an audiobook, and the other was less than 100 pages. So yeah, that was my February. I did, however, start a handful of books, and I will run through those with you and kind of explain to you what is going on with them and kind of where I'm at with all that. So the first book that I started and sadly DNF'd was The Everlasting by Alex E. Haro. I was really excited for this book. I was really looking forward to this book, and it's honestly a little disappointing for me that this book just didn't work for me. I listened to this book on audio, and genuinely the audiobook was good. There was nothing wrong with the audiobook, like the other one I mentioned before, I wasn't a fan of the narrator. That wasn't the case with this one. To me at least, there wasn't anything glaringly, that I didn't like. The story was so boring to me. And I hate to say that, because like I said, I wanted to love this book so much, but unfortunately, yeah, I don't know. There just was something about this book that just felt like it was dragging on forever. I felt like it was never gonna end, and I listened to over half of this book, okay? I listened to like 55-60% of this book, and I tried. I really did. I fought for my life while reading this book, and it just did not work out. So I did, in fact, DNF The Everlasting. The second book is Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. Yes, I know. My friends and I wanted to read this book for our book club. And yeah, I tried. I really did. I think I got maybe 4 or 5 chapters in. And again, it was boring and a little bit toxic, which I know is the point of this book. Like, this book is supposed to be toxic and crazy, and it's not supposed to be this like epic romance like people make it out to be. But I think because of what everyone has said about it, I don't know, I just had expectations for this book that I obviously, like, the book was not meeting, and that's not the book's fault, that's my fault, but it just wasn't for me. So I DNF'd it. Maybe one day I'll go back to it, but as of right now, it's a no for me. So the last book that I DNF'd in February was Kingmakers by Sophie Lark. Now, I made it about 90 pages into this book, and the premise of this book sounded absolutely amazing to me. It's supposed to be about a mafia college where these children of mafia leaders go off to this university and, you know, live their lives. And I was like, that sounds so cool. The first book is year 1, so basically their first year at this university. Now, again, I read 90 pages. 90 pages in, and they had barely had one day at the university. The lead up was just that. It was just lead up. Like, it was just 90 pages of them like chit-chatting, and yeah, you're getting to know the characters, but I didn't like the way it was written. Like, this one, sadly, I did not like the writing. It just wasn't for me. It felt very YA, and I don't know if it is YA. I have no idea. I bought it on a whim. Like I said, the premise sounded good. I like to go into books blind. I don't really look on Goodreads or Fable for reviews of books. I just kind of, you know, see things online and that sounds interesting, or I walk into a store and say that looks good and I pick it up, and I like to go into things blind. But this one, I did not enjoy it. I really tried. I tried so hard. I got to a point where, again, I did not enjoy the writing. I thought that the idea of this book was absolutely fantastic, and I really wanted to love it, but I could not get into the writing, so much so, and I never do this, but so much so that I was skimming. Like, I hate when people just skim and only read dialogue, and that's what I was doing. I was like skimming a little bit before the dialogue, reading the dialogue, skimming a little bit afterwards, and then like flipping the page. And even with that, it was like pulling teeth trying to sit down and read this book. I could not do it. It felt so YA in the writing style, but the context of what was happening in the book wasn't YA. So it just wasn't really vibing, like flowing for me in my brain, and I put it down. So yeah, that one's a hard DNF. I don't think I'll be picking that one up again. That book is going straight to Pour Over Prose, and I will be selling it at my pop-ups because I could not do it. I'm sorry, Sophie Lark, but it's not for me. And then the last 2 books that I had to really push myself to read, I finished at the very beginning of this month of March. And I only finished them because I'm reading them with other people. If it weren't for that, I would have DNF'd these books. One of them genuinely really makes me sad about, because I have had such high hopes for this book. It has been on my TBR for so long, and I don't really want to talk about it too much because I did technically finish it in March and it'll be in my March wrap up, but the book is Jade City by Fonda Lee. And yeah, that was kind of like a sucker punch to the gut when I didn't like it. So we're gonna leave it at that for now. Like I said, I'll go more in depth in March, or at the end of March, beginning of April. And the last book is Call Me By Your Name by Andre Aciman. I'm not too sure if that's how you pronounce that, but I'm pretty sure he's Italian. So I don't know. I'm sorry if I butchered it, but yeah, I genuinely disliked this book. I gave this book 2 stars, and like I said, I will talk about it more when I do my March wrap up, but I read this because my friend, who literally never reads, the only books he's ever read are the graphic novels, what are they called? I'll put them here. He read those and absolutely loved them, watched the show, but like those are the only things that he's really ever read. And obviously, as someone who loves to read, I love sharing that with my friends. And so when he said that he was reading Call Me By Your Name, I was like, if I read it with you, do you want to like sit down and chat and like have a little mini book club? And he was like, yeah, that sounds great. And so him, me, and my other friend are all reading it, and that's why I read it. Otherwise, I would not have read it. I would have DNF'd this book. Like I keep saying, I will discuss more in my next wrap-up video, but as of right now, just know that I did not enjoy that book. And yeah, that's all for today's video. If you like my content, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. And if you don't want to miss videos from me, don't forget to hit the notification button. Leave a comment down below with how many books you read in February or what your favorite book February was. And give me some thoughts and ideas of how to get out of this reading slump. I have a few, but we'll see if they work. I have yet to read a single 5-star book this year, and that really saddens me. So yeah, drop your suggestions down below. I'd love to hear them. I try to post every Wednesday, and if you guys enjoy my stuff, don't forget to catch my next video. I'll see you all then. Bye.